I would consider our next speaker, who's really working on RNG. And for people who do not know what RNG, renewable natural gas, it's an amazing opportunity, I think, for Idaho, for the fact that they typically work with dairies and they work with big beef producers. And so our next speaker I'd like to, and also a sponsor that has supported us last year, they supported us this year with their team of Chuck and Max over here, and he remembered Jim Zamzo. He was the guy, it was Chuck the guy, saying he was gonna bring in some grass to see if you could figure out how to get his lawn to stay alive. And so that was the reference there, but let's give a big round of applause for Will Charlton. Hopefully I set that one up.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about RNG, or renewable natural gas, and in particular anaerobic digestion. But first a little bit of background about myself and our company, DigesterDoc. So we are a consulting boutique, but our policy is clean energy, clean water, clean air, and clean soil. And through the energy of anaerobic digestion, we believe that we can make a sustainable environment as well as providing a sustainable food source and sustainable agriculture in the whole 9 yards. Now, one of the things that a lot of people have a question about is, composting or anaerobic digestion, what are they, how do they compare? They are different, and they should be actually looked at very hand in hand. A lot of waste streams that we have, because let's face it, waste happens. Waste is everywhere we go. We generate waste as humans, our animals generate waste, agriculture generates waste. We want to take that waste in anaerobic digestion. We want to maximize the opportunity to capture the methane that would otherwise be released into the environment naturally and hold it back, capture it, and replace the natural gas consumption that we already are using, and with renewable resources. In the state of Idaho, we are in a unique position where, as the #3 agricultural state in the country, we have the opportunity to displace 40% of our natural gas uses through renewable resources, both from the dairies, from our food resources, and from the human production at municipal wastewater treatment plants. And these are underutilized right now in the state of Idaho, and for our ability to really reach a net zero carbon footprint and to be able to truly get to a regenerative ag scenario, we've got to be able to utilize all of these resources and be able to utilize them at their maximum potential. And so we've been working hard with our partners in ag to be able to get to that point where we can see a true sustainable scenario where regenerative ag, regenerative or renewable energy, and everything comes hand in hand. A lot of what we do is focused on the microbiology and the trace elements and the nutrients. We do a lot of feasibility studies as well. Now, one of the things that we found in working with agriculture and working with developers over the last few years is one of the big lacking components to be able to drive our agriculture into having more of this renewable energy resource is being able to get more feasibility studies. Developers don't want to touch a project unless they know if it's viable. They don't want to put the money in unless they know they have something potential. So we've been driving as much as we can to try to drive these sustainability, these feasibility studies into the marketplace with the agriculture here in Idaho to be able to truly drive our agriculture forward into this anaerobic digestion phase. Right now, we have about 6 anaerobic digesters in the state in the agricultural industry. We have the potential for several hundred. So we are far underutilizing that opportunity. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close unless there's any questions.
Question?
Yes.
What about nitrogen sinks as a result of the methane generation?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
The nitrogen sinks as a result of the methane creation.
So in the process of anaerobic digestion, nitrogen pretty much stays stable where it is. Once the product comes out of the digester, though, we can take that material, and this is where the clean water and clean air comes into play. We can take that product and take the soil or the solids away from the water. The solids then we can treat and stabilize through an aerobic process to be able to control that and make it nitrate fixing organisms in there so the nitrogen holds in the soil, make it into a peat moss-like alternative product. And then the water itself, we can actually extract the nitrogen and make an ammonia sulfate fertilizer out of that as well, leaving you with an industrial grade water that can be reused for field application or on the farm or wherever you want to. Does that answer your question? Yeah. So it is being practiced right now. There are places doing this, and it needs to be more widely implemented to be able to capture that nitrogen, reuse it where it needs to be used. Correct.
So a slogan that comes to mind is, get the stink out of the drink. Did anybody get that? No, okay. So, that's I think one of the value-added benefits of what you guys do is that, a lot of these places that have, the big feedlots or the big dairies tend to be a little stinky. And so put a digester in there and then have the scientists come in and dial that in, then we have multi-beneficial solutions, I guess you could say.
And it becomes economically viable for the farm to be able to manage the waste responsibly as well.
Yes, sir. So let's give it up for Will and DigesterDoc. Thank you so much.
Thank you.